One Piece chapter 1017. Now, it's one of those chapters that delves into a new and very interesting plotline that doesn't necessarily involve Wano, but more so for the world building of One Piece, as it seems that we may be getting answers towards the origin of Luffy's Devil Fruit, as it has been hinted to be potentially special in some way, shape, or form, and we'll talk more about that later on. Now, the other thing that was interesting was the reveal of Who's Who being a former member of CP9. Now, I did make a video pertaining to this idea about 6 months ago, so I guess I was semi-right in some sense. Again, we still don't know the whole story, as this is something that Oda is still building upon, and it seems like this could be a thing that Oda focuses on the next coming chapters, because I feel like Jinbei and Who's Who, amongst all the fights that's been taking place, this one particularly has received the least screen time, and so I think we're deviating to them because we haven't got any substance with these guys yet. So that's going to be interesting, but let's start from the beginning, guys. But before we start the video, guys, like the video and subscribe if you were new here. Definitely helps me push out more content. Now, we started the chapter with the main floor. Actually, most of the chapter takes place in the main floor. Now, we kind of start off with the Otama payoff that was sort of built up for some time now, and we sort of knew her moment was coming because she planted seeds here and there, but it wasn't set in stone yet. And again, going off of the previous chapter in which she currently has the mic in hand, she proceeds to order all the gifters who had eaten one of her Kibidangos, and again, this in return will change the tides of the battle in the favor of the alliance. Previously, it was about 20,000 versus 7,000, but now the disparity is even less now because of what Otama just did, and even more so now because the people that she's taken over are gifters, meaning more people of quality are switching sides, given that gifters have Devil Fruit abilities or semi abilities, therefore more potential strength for the alliance, which is a lot better than just having fodder switch sides, because that wouldn't be really helpful in the grand scheme of things anyways. So I can easily see how the alliance will win in terms of forces, the lower forces. If things keep going on like this, it's only a matter of time before the alliance takes over, and when that happens, the 1v1s that are currently taking place would be the next focus and the more important battles later on. But it is very interesting that Otama would become so essential in this battle. Granted, it was kind of obvious when Oda introduced us with her ability, so in essence that was something that we kind of saw from afar anyways. Now, Queen versus Sanji, a matchup that has been talked about ever since Queen and King were revealed, and it's finally taking place. And as usual, we have Sanji coming in with his famed dynamic entry kick. He always does this. It is a thing that Sanji must and will do every arc. But here we come to see that he attacks Queen with a Collier strike, saving Otama and Nami in the process. And from what it seems like, Queen is actually taking a more serious approach to things now, because he has now gone into his hybrid form. Now, in terms of design, it's kind of what I expected. The Brachiosaurus is a huge dinosaur, so it was kind of expected that his design was going to be on the lower spectrum amongst the ancient zones that we've seen so far. So it doesn't really bother me that much. I think the design people should look forward to is King, because I think Oda is definitely going to go ham on that. But something that's very interesting is that Queen has somewhat merged his Devil Fruit with like his cyborg-like body, which explains why his neck seems to be cut up in pieces in some of the previous chapters. It was kind of weird. And then in this chapter, we come to see that his tail does the same thing here. And we also know that he also uses lasers like the Pacifista. So he somehow incorporated Kizaru's Devil Fruit here as well. So again, Queen isn't your average zone users. With the Calamities, it seems like they have more than just your fruit. They have like an extra trait on top of the fruit. With Jack, it's him being like part fishman. That kind of goes into his overall power. With Queen, it's his prowess in science and how he has like a cyborg-like body. And with King, it most likely has to do something with his flames or whatever race he is. So Sanji has a lot of things to overcome here. So far, Sanji's attacks do affect Queen, but it hasn't done anything substantial yet. So I think this is the time for Sanji to actually show off. We do know that he has the raid suit, but I want to see more of Sanji's innate abilities, like him using Haki in combination with Diablo Jambe, or new skill sets that he hasn't shown yet. I really want Sanji to show off, because I don't think we've seen Sanji go all out before, ever since we got into the pre-time skip. Like, he's literally never gone full out. We've seen Zoro with Kaido, and now I think we need to see Sanji. Hopefully Oda pulls through. We also got some lore regarding Queen and his history with Judge, and apparently they were a part of a team called the Mads, which could stand for like mad scientist or something of that nature, because all these guys were crazy, you know, of course, except Vegapunk. So that was kind of the little tidbit that was kind of interesting there in terms of the overall lore of the One Piece worlds. That just adds more to the series and makes everything more grounded. Now, moving on to Chopper and Zoro's side of things. Now we come to see the downside of Chopper using Monster Point for an extended period of time, and here it basically turns him into like a mini Chopper. It's kind of similar to Luffy's drawback in Gear 3rd in the pre-time skip. But now that Chopper is out of action for the time being, I kind of guess that his focus would be on getting Zoro back to a point where he can fight again. And knowing Zoro, he would go with anything that allows him to fight regardless of the drawbacks that comes with it. And that's exactly what happened in this chapter. Now apparently Zoro has some sort of drug that allows a person to keep fighting, but it comes at the expense of them feeling twice the amount of pain after the fact. Again, kind of similar to Ivankov's hormone that he applied to Luffy in Marineford, but I think we're definitely seeing a return of Zoro here in the next coming chapters for sure. And I personally think that his target will be King 100%. Following the usual trope, I think that makes the most sense right now, even though Zoro is somewhat injured, but him getting this drug will definitely put him back in action for the time being. Now, we do also know that Marco is fighting King, so both Marco and Zoro taking on King can easily tip the balance in the fight in which they can actually defeat King in the process. But I am looking forward to King. I think we've gotten a fair bit of detail when it comes to Queen and even Jack to some degree, but King has been completely vague for some time now, so I expect a chapter dedicated for him pretty soon. So that could tie into Zoro maybe coming into battle or clashing with King, which could be the initial start to their battle. Now we end off the chapter with easily the most interesting section in which we get more lore and reveals, and here we get some semblance as to who's origin. And just like I speculated, he turns out to be a former member of the Cypher Pol, specifically CP9. Now I do think that it's possible that he might still be a CP agent, but more so working with CP0, because I feel like something that the Cypher Pol would do to infiltrate the Yonkos would be to create some sort of mock crew or a fake crew, and perhaps that's the way he got into Kaido's crew. And I also find it weird how the CP0 are just blatantly just chilling on Onigashima right now. I know they were working with Orochi previously, but it's just kind of weird that these guys are just sitting in a Yonko stronghold and just knowing everything that's taking place. Again, it's a bit suspect, but who's who may have played a role there. Now, one of the more interesting things that we learned was why he is currently in the position that he is right now. And apparently this is due to a mistake that he made 12 years ago, in which he failed to guard the Gomu Gomu no Mi, which at that point in time was being transported by a government ship, to which he then learned later on that Luffy had ate the fruit 2 years later. And now this has massive implications on several things right now. I've got to say that I honestly love the world building that we're getting here in One Piece. It's honestly one of the best parts of One Piece. It's just crazy how everything is just coming full circle. Now, in terms of the implication, there's two things that I do want to mention. First one is, why was the world government guarding the fruit in the first place? There could be something very special about it, like maybe this was the devil fruit that Joy Boy had or something like that, or it has some sort of latent potential that other devil fruits don't reach, or something of that nature. The world government knows about a lot of these things, so there's a reason why they were guarding it. I feel like the emphasis they're putting on the Gomu Gomu no Mi right now is kind of similar to what was said about Lost Fruit being the ultimate devil fruit. So it's one of those fruits that the world government are always watching or guarding because it has an ability that is useful for them. Now, the second thing is that Shanks stole this fruit from the enemy. Now, initially I thought that maybe this was like a one-off thing that happened and Shanks just happened to find the devil fruit on like a ship that he attacked. But with this information that we're getting in this chapter, I think it makes more sense that Shanks targeted that fruit for a specific reason, and perhaps for the same reason that the world government were guarding it. And I'll talk more about this in a separate video because this is actually kind of huge in terms of the implication that of what the potential of the Gomu Gomu no Mi may have. I don't want to talk too much about it in this video. I'll talk about it in another video and we'll delve deeper into that, because I feel like Oda is kind of building some sort of power up for Luffy right now. But again, very interesting stuff here for sure, and there is a lot to be talked about. Now, in regards to Jinbei versus Who's Who, I do like the fight a lot. We're seeing here that Who's Who is apparently as talented as Rob Lucci, and he does appear to have like variants of the 6 powers. And again, I love the 6 powers, and seeing it here again is great. I'm actually curious as to how the 6 powers will be enhanced with the use of Haki, like using Armament Haki and Tekkai at the same time. I think that's something that we may get to see with Who's Who moving forward in this fight, because I've always wondered like how overpowered these Rokushiki techniques would be if used in combination with Haki. Now, in terms of his hybrid form, not as cool as I thought it would be. I expected something kind of similar to Rob Lucci, but again, it kind of makes sense given his full transformation. The saber-toothed tiger is bigger, so it kind of makes sense that his hybrid transformation would be bigger as well. So again, not my favorite design, but I think it's fine. But we do have to take into account that he also has life return, most likely, if he's a CP9 agent, right? So he might be able to change his form into like a different version of it, a different version of his hybrid, kind of like how Rob Lucci had like 2 forms in his hybrid with the use of life return. So that might be something that could switch up his design to make him look a lot cooler. But yeah, apart from that, definitely interested in seeing how Jinbei deals with Who's Who, and hopefully we get more to Who's Who, because he's a very interesting character. And we still don't know the whole story behind why he's in Kaido's crew. Like, what's a CP9 agent doing in Kaido's crew? So maybe we get more on that too. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I would appreciate it if you dropped a like on this video. Comment down below what you guys think, and subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel. It is Pharaoh, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.